But to be efficient, you need more things. Because if you focus in your sport, there are factors outside that world that will affect your performance there.
Strava does connect to Garmin. Garmin does connect to iFit. So you could theoretically get the data in Strava.
One of my things, like, I wouldn't go AI on this. Not right now.
All right, so episode 2, we have all three of us here. Guillermo decided to join us, and after, 2 weeks back and forth of moving and rescheduling, we finally got together, and we're going to do episode 2. And today, I'll give you 2 stats, and you guys can guess what the industry is, maybe. So the industry...
Is it AI?
No, it's not. No. So it's a $30.6 billion industry. It was in 2022, and it's growing at an 8.7% rate.
Fitness and health.
Yes, exactly. It's fitness and
Thank
health. You. Yeah, you win nothing. So it's fitness industry, clubs, health, gym market, and these are just the quick stats. Maybe they're not. I think they're correct. I just Googled them, so they should be. All right, so there's 2 domain names here. That one of the domain names I purchased a couple of years back, and it was called smashfit.io. And then the second domain name that prompted this podcast is called yourownbody.com. And this was from a fellow on Twitter called Frank. So Frank, I saw his tweet and he was saying, oh, hey, I have this domain. What are some of the ideas that you would want to do, or a business that you could build around this, right? Mm-hmm. So let me give you an idea that I had originally with SmashFit, but it can translate to yourownbody.com as well, right? So during COVID, I got a Nordic Track bike. So it's similar to Peloton, right? It has an app, and there's a bunch of classes. Their classes were mostly on demand, but they had some live classes as well. Peloton is fully live, more or less, I think. Or that was the major appeal of it, I guess. I don't like live classes. I don't like people yelling at me. So anyway, I got that bike. They have this app. It's called iFit. And that's on the screen and everything. You can pick the workouts that you want to do, and that's pretty much it, right? So what they used to do is they would do these monthly challenges. So a challenge was a set of workouts that you would have to complete in that 1 month. And then once you complete that, you would get a fridge magnet. So they would send you a small magnet that you can put on your fridge or whatever, right? So they would do this monthly. They had different magnet designs, different themes, like Christmas theme, summer theme, all those things. And then aside from that, they were also tracking your total number of workouts, right? So you did number of workouts that you did throughout the year. And then if you completed 100 workouts, you would get free month on the app. Or if you do 200, you get a t-shirt, 500, you get $100 gift card, and so on, right? The thing is, these rewards were nothing special, fridge magnets are what, not even $1, right? Shipping included. Now, at that same time, I joined a couple of Facebook groups, right, that were specific to this iFit ecosystem. And I guess there's Peloton groups as well, for sure. And just to give you an idea of, memberships, I think one of the groups has 50,000 members and the other one has 30,000 members, right? And these are not iFit or Nordic Track sponsored, right? This is a community that was created by someone, right? So what people would do, right, is they would post their workouts, the pictures, right? I didn't receive my magnet. They were complaining about this, a typical group, right? Typical community. And then last year, the company decided they're not gonna ship those magnets, the physical rewards, they're not gonna ship them out anymore. So instead, they switched from actual physical product to a digital badge and a digital magnet, right? So the idea stayed the same. You could do these workouts, you would get the rewards or do these challenges, right? People went nuts. Like even today, more than a year later, if you go into one of those groups and you check it out, you'll find people complaining about things, complaining about how they don't like the magnets, the digital magnets, and please bring back the physical magnets.
Someone was complaining. Someone was complaining. That was the
not
everyone.
someone, like a lot of people in those 50,000 groups, right, were complaining about, oh, bring the magnets back. Why did we get rid of the magnets? The digital badges suck. Bring this back. Why has this happened? They were basically asking, like, constantly when they did that, when the company announced it. And then a year later, it's the same thing. Like at least once or twice a week, there's someone who's like, oh, I wish they would bring the magnets back.
Someone set a reminder, so every week he complains about the same
There's
thing.
probably a site for that as
I
well.
don't know, but it's just, I mean, I'll make sure that, like, I take a picture of one of these magnets and I'll include it somewhere, right? We can put it on a screen or whatever, but they're nothing special. There's like a thin magnet. I mean, the graphics are okay, I guess. The design, it looks nice, but it's nothing. It's, as I said, not even $1 with including shipping.
Wow.
But anyway, so the idea was, right, and thinking about this rewards angle, right? So my original idea was come up with a design, beta designer, come up with, let's say, 24 badge designs, right? Make them thematic, Christmas, whatever, around holidays, however you want to do it, right? Come up with different challenges. Challenges being January, complete, I don't know, 150 miles, right? Travel 150 miles, be it on a bike, walk, run, row, whatever you have, right? Either do the generic challenges like that, or the interesting part is, at least from the technical side, right? Connect to either iFit or Peloton and use their workouts, right? Or workouts that are part of their catalog as part of the challenge. Meaning, hey, if I'm on iFit, right, there's these, I don't know, challenges. There's these workouts by specific trainers or whatever, right? And you have to complete 5 of them, and then you're going to earn a badge or reward, right? Now, the thing here is the technical difficulty, I guess, is I'm not sure if iFit or Peloton have public APIs. I'm actually pretty sure they don't, right? So there's no way for you to, like, as a developer, to hook into their API and say, hey, give me, like, have people log in, right, and connect their accounts and say, hey, I'm going to bring in your last 5 or 10 workouts or whatever. If they do, that's awesome, right? However, I do know Garmin has an API, right? However, that's assuming that all these people use Garmin watches to track their workouts, which they necessarily don't, right? I want to note here that these, at least from what I've seen in that group, that these are not necessarily like, I'm trying to find the right word. They're not professional athletes, they're just everyday Joes and Jills, right? Who just bought a bike, but whatever, and they just want to work out. They don't necessarily have all these, like, watches and all these things to track stuff, right? I did look into Strava a little bit, right? Strava has an API. Strava does connect to Garmin. Garmin does connect to iFit, so you could theoretically get the data in Strava. However, I started reading at their API a little bit and their, like, requirements and whatnot, and it's very restrictive, right? They don't want to give out that data, which kind of makes sense. I wouldn't want to give it out either. However, I did reach out to Garmin and I did get API access, so that's good.
Hold on for a second, right? Just a quick question there, because both of those, right? So Peloton for sure. I think iFit as well. If nothing else, they connect to Apple Health. I'm like super avid Apple user, obviously, but
Oh, yes.
the worst case, you can
Probably.
always
Yeah,
lean
yeah,
into
yeah.
Apple Health, right?
Can you get? Is there an Apple Health API that I can
Yes,
connect
but I
to?
think you need an app.
Oh, okay. So you're tied to a
Yeah,
like a phone app
yeah.
and not necessarily a website, right?
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean,
Maybe
doesn't
there's an
really
API as
matter,
well. I mean,
right?
it would be great if
It's
there was an API, right?
And in the worst case, you can always do web scraping on webs like apps like Strava and things like that, right?
yeah, but we don't want to do that. You could, you could. I'm not saying you should, but you probably could. Um, but yeah, but the thing is, I got access to Garmin, right? So I have access to Garmin API. So I could theoretically like hook up to like my not my watch, but my Garmin account, right? And my watch syncs to the Garmin account, and then pull those things in, right? However, that still doesn't get me that doesn't solve the scenarios where I have a challenge that's made out of up with up ugh, that doesn't solve the issue where I have challenges that are from or workouts that are from iFit or Peloton, right? Because I can. How can you track that, right? You can either trust people, right, and have them enter it manually, or ideally you do it automatically, which is even
Yeah, you
more
never
costly,
trust. You can never
obviously.
trust people,
Now,
right?
I mean,
Mm.
people are always trying to game the system anyway, right? And hearing how those people in those groups go nuts about like magnets, I'm sure there would be
I mean, you've seen photos of Pokemon
like you.
Go, like people on bicycles with a bazillion phones riding around, right? That's
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I've seen. So another example of like these groups on Facebook, right? So they would do every year. They had, I said, the challenge of how many workouts you completed in a year, right? So for I think 500, if you completed 500 workouts in a year, you would get, I think it was a sweatshirt or something like that, right? Something that's maybe $100 worth, right? Uh, People would, and if you think 500 workouts on average, right? There's maybe a 30-minute. You have 15-minute workouts as well, right? But you would have to do more than two a day on average, right? To complete that. You had people like January, like end of January, be like, oh, I completed 500 workouts already, you know? And everyone was like,
it,
how, like, you had two groups of people. One would like cheer on people, like, yeah, you did it. And there's the realist side of the other group of people who are like, how did you complete 500
I mean, great, right?
workouts? So they found what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say. They
exactly.
found a loophole. So iFit also has a set of, I think it's TED videos or TEDx videos, mindfulness videos, things like that that you can listen to. You don't have to be on a machine. So I'm assuming, I'm not blaming anyone, right? But or accusing anyone, but I'm assuming people would just put that on repeat just to get that counter up to 500.
Well, but there should be mathematical behind the scenes. So you should know the statistical probability of how many people will really fit on those 500 workloads, say one out of 100,000 people. So you can estimate based on that all the cost of the swag, the badges, and things you can do it. No, so you can
Yeah.
forecast.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But these magnets, to be like realistic, these magnets are, if you're gonna produce them, like massively produce them, and you're gonna order, I don't know, 1,000 of them, it's very cheap. It's not. You're not. You can get away with like less than $1,000. You know, I mean, let's say for thousand magnets, right? Getting 1,000 users, that's. I mean, you have a business at that point probably already, right? If you think about it. Um, but yeah, I was thinking how do you make money with this? One is that you could charge people, right, to join. And that's what like iFit is doing that, right? Basically, you're paying monthly or you have a subscription, right? Um, However, I think a better way would be to focus on like creating a community first,
Hmm.
right? And get that community like
You should have.
spend the money on the magnets, right?
Mhm.
Spending money on it, make it free. However, once if and or this takes off, what you can do is we know that there's like gazillion companies, fitness health companies out there that you could reach out and say, hey, I have a group of 20,000 people doing these challenges, these monthly challenges. Would you want to sponsor this and provide rewards for it? Right.
Mhm.
So it would go to Garmin. I'm making stuff up, right? You would go to Garmin and say, hey, Garmin, you have an opportunity to reach 20,000 potential users, right? Are you willing to sponsor this, right? So you have a sponsored challenge by company name, right? So you charge them for that, but then they also are the ones who provide the rewards for people, right? So I don't know, Garmin
So
can do whatever, right?
there's a
Watches. I mean, I don't think it's feasible to
no.
give out 1,000
Just as a
watches,
note, I
right?
mean, there is a bunch of companies that sort of do that, right? Especially around. So first of all, the first one, the biggest one, is going to be insurance companies. In the UK, a lot of insurance companies actually do like they have an app. They'll connect as much data, and then they'll lower your premium if you're healthy. And then so at my job, we also have this like challenge ish where you can kind of go one step further, right? So basically, kind of skipping ahead, but you're charging companies to deploy this as a program to their employees because that's how they keep healthy and motivated employees, right? But anyway, the point is they create teams, so you try and recruit people into your teams, and then there's a leaderboard about like who has the most activity, and it's the same thing, right? Like I take my dog out for a walk, it's I don't know, an hour worth of activity, boom, points. So you kind of gamify the whole thing and increase employee health, right? There's quite a lot of those.
I remember that one because I used to be at that same company. They use. I remember that app, but I think it was honor system,
It's
right?
I mean,
I don't know if they
let me
upgraded
check.
since, but I remember when I seen it first time, it was honor system. You would go and enter your I walked
Yeah.
whatever for an hour, and then you would get points, and then you could exchange those points for rewards, right? Or
Well,
stuff
so
like
it
that.
tells this should tell you everything. I've since deleted the app. Um,
But here's one question, because you're talking about an application that you get rewards, you can do it by teams, by your own, but the way you want to make the business, is it from an individual perspective, or you want to create these kind of teams that can compete internally in other organizations between different line of business? Because I think that there are two different tracks. One track what I would like to do is do it from an individual point of view, and probably the company should get also some kind of influencers that you can compete against them. So they do a track, let's say rowing or cycling at their home, and you see these guys participating in challenges out there. That Cape Town, one of the challenges, bike races that we see worldwide, or Mongolia, 2,000 kilometers, and they get that information pulled into the community. So now you can emulate the same race and you can compare against to some kind of ghost
so
cycling or ghost rowing.
Oh, that's like what Zwift, right?
I
Doesn't Zwift have
I laugh because
Yes,
right? They
similar, but
have
using influencer
yeah.
rather than competing against Peter or Anche. It's like, hey, no, I want to compete against because I follow this guy. So these guys that
yeah.
have 100,000 followers, you can pick a
Fun fact.
percentage of that group and beat them.
Um, Years back, I had a startup together with some friends, and this was exactly the idea. We said, let's build a bike. Let's build a fitness bike. Um, So those of you seeing this on video, this will be like slightly more hilarious. But yeah, we were like, oh, okay, let's go build a fitness bike or a connector that plugs into any fitness bike that you have at home, and then it'll stream to your TV. Like this was 10 years back, more than 10 years, 15 years back, right? And we were going to do a game precisely where you could do the same thing. Like you could do Tour de France behind someone, right? And try to keep up with their times and so on. Yeah, it was an interesting one. We had a whole bunch of like models and everything already done.
Also, we are talking about gamification and recognition of the workouts you do, but also if you add the component of nutrition. So now I can help you also from your health perspective. And you
Yeah.
start adding things to the ecosystem that really grows up your community. And I think it pulls into more business opportunities with different
But that's
businesses.
MyFitnessPal. Yeah,
So
we're now we're
yes.
talking MyFitnessPal, right? It's basically it's the same thing. So I
Have you seen MyFitnessPal lately? The
you,
UI, how it looks like? It
no,
looks
they've
like it's
changed it. They've
staying
updated it. It's actually much worse now. But in fact, for about 4 or 5 months, they had a bug that it didn't update on the new UI. So literally, their workaround was you have to go to the old UI, refresh, and then the new one's going to update. But the key thing I was going to make the point here, MyFitnessPal is kind of everything. We know everything, right? Turns out they have a whole bunch of other apps as well. So because they're either owned by or bought Under Armour, probably owned by, right? They also have Map My Run, Map My Walk, Map My Ride, a whole bunch of stuff that basically tracks different types of workouts, right? And then all of this come together, and you can go and you can complete challenges and all those stuff, right? So it feels like this would be a little bit late in the game. Not trying to dissuade it, but there's Strava, Zwift, Map like FitnessPal, a whole bunch of like Garmin. All of them want to keep you in the same ecosystem, right? I mean, Apple Health does the basic. Like if you do Fitness Plus, you have challenges, like how many workouts you complete, all those, and most of those apps will try and pull stuff into it. So not trying to kind of steer the conversation totally differently, but here's the other one, right? And I kind of so I have two devices, and realistically, I probably have more, right? If I think about all the sensors and all the stuff that I wear, um, but I still don't have a unified, nice view of information or data coming from all of those devices that I could plug in and say, oh, cool, let's do analytics on my heart rate, and I want to analyze this not from what just Fitbit goes and says, oh, your heart rate's up or down. But I want to say, here's all of my heart rate information coming from Apple Health, coming from Fitbit, coming from, like, I don't know, Polar, and then analyze that, right? So maybe it's more about owning, so the data, sensors, and connecting.
yeah.
Sitting on
Yeah.
top and building the overlay for the. And it's funny because I work with a company. It's a startup that has a device to help you train your breath and your lungs. So it pulls into the application. You type the how strong you want to breathe on that. You put it like in the mouth, and you keep it doing for like maximum 30 minutes a day.
The,
And
the the way that you explain it, I think I saw those ads on Instagram or something, but I've never clicked
I
on
have
it.
one of those because I was helping. I found it useful. It was really focused for athletes, but I was like, for example, long COVID, how you
Hmm.
can recover, I think was great. Asthma, fantastic. But how if I turn that device into, well, I'm not a doctor, but I've been tracking your breath patterns for a few months, and one day suddenly you have something that breath changes. I say
Hmm.
you should go to watch because maybe we can detect heart patterns based on the way you breathe. And
Hmm.
there's a
Hmm.
whole disease around that on how you can really identify and make it because maybe you're suffering a heart attack or something. It's just the beginning. You can attach it briefly.
Yeah.
Huh?
Doesn't Apple Watch have that? As if I remember reading articles that Apple Watch like
They have the one that if
alerted
you fail,
someone on an uncommon like a heartbeat pattern or
So
something.
what I've seen is that if you
yeah.
fall in the middle of the jungle and it detects the accelerometer and you are for 30 seconds, it will send up an alarm. But that's the same thing we used to have in the data centers. So you had something in the belt that if you fall down and you keep there 30 seconds, it send a triggers an
Like a
alarm.
yeah.
So
Basically, it
Apple, so
becomes.
there's two things that do detect, right, for a watch. They'll do heart rate changes. And I think there's a bunch of like Withings is specialized in this, and they're much better in detecting heart rate. So if your heart rate goes, what's it called? Basically, if it's abnormal, right, super high or super low, like you're sitting down and it's really high, it'll alert you. That's one. I think some of the newer models they do oxygen saturation as well, so maybe they are alerting on that. But there's also a breathing exercise. So they are advertising it, but it's literally just the watch kind of vibrating and going breathe in, breathe out. Yeah. So it doesn't do anything
Oh, breathe.
special.
Yeah,
No, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
you don't breathe
Yeah.
directly. You don't
yeah.
Yeah.
to the watch.
Directly into the watch. You
Yeah.
just blow there.
Brush your
So
teeth. Okay.
yeah. What one? Let me. I figure out we can share screen. So let me share this. This is one of the apps that like years ago I got into running a little bit more. Um, so this is one of the I guess websites. They don't have an app or anything. It's called Smash Run, and it's specifically tailored for like people who run, right? So it connects to I think Strava, definitely Garmin. I know I have it. Like I have it connected to Garmin, right? They do digital badges as well, right? For
Yeah.
like different achievements or whatever you have. But the selling point that they have, and I'm gonna pick one of the like longer
Of
runs
course he
here,
is. Right?
is they can they visualize, right? If you can see,
Mhm.
they can visualize and do like some statistics, not statistics. I guess they'll crunch
Mm,
the numbers, right? If you're really into numbers, right? This is like like drug, I guess, right? It shows you where you went fast, how was your heart
yeah.
rate compared to going uphill, downhill. Um,
And based on what metrics they make this analysis, because it will depend on your height, weight.
yeah,
Uh,
but that comes from Garmin, right? So whenever you buy like I have a Garmin Phoenix, whatever, right? You enter your weight, your height, your age, whatnot, right? And then all the data that they show here, that's all from Garmin, right? They do some mathematical thing. I don't know exactly, but there is a thing that they calculate specifically. Um,
well,
but
I guess
I don't
I
remember
guess they
what it
use the
is.
information in a marathon. You have the guy that goes with the balloon of 4.5 per kilometer, something like that. So they always keep the same track on the intervals. Every kilometer they make the same time. Maybe they pick that information and then they do the calculations around that.
No, but this is not like yeah, but this is just my information. This is not anyone else's information,
But
right?
you should compare. That's I think when it comes to
Yes.
competitiveness,
Yeah,
that
that
will
would
be.
be yeah, exactly. I mean, I probably couldn't compare with this time, right, to anyone that does a marathon in 2 hours, right? But I would compare to my friends, right?
When you say compare, you'd want to
At least in
compete, right?
running.
Yeah.
Well, compete, compare. I mean, depending. Yeah, I personally don't care. Whenever I was running for myself. I wasn't, doing it for anyone else. But there are people who are interested in, how
Yeah.
do I compare to that guy, or there's always that one friend, you want to compare yourself with or whatever, right? But to me, it was more of a hey, it's interesting what like the type of visualizations one can do, right? Based on the data that's like collected from just a watch,
I
you
would
know.
see this interesting if it adds me based on that information you get when I need to relax. How can I do passive or active on the
Yes.
way? How I can do new workouts based on that to say, okay, I want to fit you to do go down 4 minutes, kilometer, whatever. I think that's the value. Is you get the
Yes.
information and you start adding things that can make you more healthy, stronger, feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find they had a I think there was a another view that one could see. I just can't seem to find
It's
it.
just a Grafana dashboard.
Well, more or less. Yeah. More or less, it is. But for some reason, I don't know why I can't. Oh, analyze, of course. There you go. Right.
That's cool.
This looks really bad, right? Because it's basically telling that my trend, like the trend is going down. I'm getting slower, which kind of makes sense, right? But if I would, this is where I actually started running, right? You could see. Then they would like calculate the trends, right, and tell you how you're doing, what was your best run, right? And this is valuable if you have a lot of data. You see how bad I became, going all down. But it's an interesting way to like track these things, and then you have these training bands based on like your pace and how many runs you did at that pace, when, the duration of the runs, goals if you want to do it, run 100 miles, right? You can set up goals, and then PRs you can beat based on your best performance.
So
It
the
shows
one
you
good thing
different.
about this,
Anyway,
right,
it's
or
a
the one saving grace, I guess, is it's super focused. It's just for running, right?
mhm.
Because the
Yes,
moment you
yeah,
start saying, like, so I'm preparing for a marathon on inline skates right now, and you know, I would love to get something like this for skating, right?
for
But
that.
you can't.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not. It's just not going to magically appear by itself, right? And then you need some expertise, some knowledge. It's not like you can just compare the data. And even if like,
Mhm.
if I'm starting to think, cool, it would be awesome if I get like a training program or a routine, something, right? Maybe combining it with that nutrition aspect that we were talking about earlier would be awesome, but so hard to do, like for all the myriad of sports that exist, right?
yeah, yeah. It's almost like you have to be focused on
Yeah,
cycling, running,
yeah,
like individual sports there, and
Yeah, but then you kill.
niche down, right? Basically niche down
yeah.
to those things.
But then you kill a big population that makes swim run, triathlons, duathlons.
I mean, that could be like a
Yeah.
specialization, I guess, right? I mean, think about it. If you do like if you have something like that Smash Run, now you know where the idea for that first domain name came from. Smash Fit, right? Smash Run. There you go. But if you have something for running that's tailored for runners, something for cycling that's tailored for cycling, swimming, right, for swimmers, then the triathlon or duathlon is just combining those, right? In a way, I don't know exactly if there's any like, yeah, there should definitely be a way for the app or for the website to automatically figure out, oh, this person is training for like a triathlon because they're doing brick workouts, right? They went for a swim and then they went on a bike, or they went on a bike and then they did a run, right? A combination
And
of
using
things.
AI, you could provide specific
I'm
workouts,
surprised it only took us
exercises.
30 minutes before someone said
So, well,
AI.
that's not fair. I said AI
but
like
But
before we even went into the conversation, right? So
true,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
before recording,
yeah.
Um,
But no,
yeah,
AI was that's where I was wanted to go as well, because I think you Guillermo mentioned the telling you,
mm,
right, should I rest, should I work out more, things like that. How should my diet be? Like if I'm tracking all this data, what are some of the things that AI, right, can tell me about that data, right? What are some of the things that I can see that maybe AI can see by going through all that data and figuring it out, right?
but not only that. Even though, for example, if you ask and say, "Oh, you need to do 20 pull-ups," and you can record yourself doing that with AI, it can train and say, "Oh, you're doing this wrong. This is the size and how you need to position your body," so you can
True.
really analyze. I've seen, for example, totally different thing. There's someone came with a huge data set, trained with YOLO, on being a basketball referee. So now I can record my kids playing basketball, apply that, and will say, "Oh, here you did it wrong. Here is you
Hmm.
getting it wrong angles when you're throwing the ball and stuff like that." You can take that to fit and gym.
That's a yeah. They have this. Actually, I had this done to me years and years and years ago. When they measure your running gait, right? So they basically record you from the side. You run on a treadmill, right? And they're recording you from the side view to see like, oh, you should like move your hips to the left, or you're moving your hips too much. You're moving your hands too much. You're going too far. Like all those things. But that was done by a professional person, right, trained on that, who recorded it and then looked at the video and said, look, like you should do it this way to be more efficient. But yeah, AI could be brought in to do that. However, I was thinking, like, it looks like there's two things, right? One is I have all this data, pull some of the insights, use AI to pull some of the insights out of the data that I already have. And there's also the whole, tell me if I'm doing this right, critique my form, or whatever you want to call it, right? Tell me if I'm doing this well or if I should be doing it differently. Yeah, I think there's interesting things on both
Not
sides.
to be a party pooper once again,
Probably have to.
but 5 years back, so Microsoft, we did a thing. It was called Sports Intelligence Toolkit, and it was basically, so one of the titles or one of the articles that's published is Sensors in Sports Analyzing Human Movement with AI. I'll paste the link in our chat, and then we can put it in the pod description as well for anybody interested. But it was basically an initiative that was started by a colleague, Kevin Ashley, and he 3D printed sensors that he put on his body, and then he went surfing, he went skiing, and a whole bunch of sports, right? And we kind of went further into skiing. There were a couple customers out there that I can't name, but were really awesome. Came out with a few of their own products that kind of are based on top of this. But the point was, let's gather all this data, and I even have a blog post on that as well. I'll paste the link as well. Gather all this movement data precisely for this. Like when you're skiing, if you put it on your knees and potentially on your feet, it can tell you, hey, you're carving incorrectly. You're not applying enough pressure on this, right? And the point was, you train your model to say, this is what good carving is. This is what bad carving would be, right? But again, it was very, very focused on sports and kind of specific sports as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously it got deprioritized across multiple years because life is corporations. But this was really, really an awesome project, right? It was one of the like most fun things that I've ever worked on at Microsoft.
Yeah, but it's also one thing. I mean, I purchased I purchased a bunch of sensors as well, like things for like thing that you put on your waist for running, right? And it would tell you like different stats, right? There's a Garmin sensor you put on your like shoes. You can track your cadence better, right? I know someone bought another sensor that tracks your like power, right? Your power output when you're running. Uh, the only thing is like it's too many sensors, you know, in a way, right? That would be a downside. I'm not saying it would be cool. It would be awesome, right? But it just feels like, oh, I'm going to go for a run and I have to put on like 7 sensors.
Wearable T-shirt built with sensors.
Yeah.
Now you add that to your
Well, so there's a whole bunch
like,
of
here's your
like
T-shirt with
wearables
bands.
already, right? So
Yeah.
Under Armour has, like, I have the sneakers that have pressure sensors built in. So if I look at Map My Run, I would see everything, like my step, my cadence, all of that data is already there. And there's like, to the note of my previous comment, without going too much into detail, there are connected ski boots as well that do this, that now look at pressure data and so on, right?
Mm. So basically, say you can buy the only problem there is like, let me give you a practical example. So let's say I buy a shirt that has the sensors built in, right? Back in my athletic days, I would run every day and I would do at least 4 or 5 miles every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy running in fresh clothes. I wouldn't get like these t-shirts are probably like $100+ per t-shirt, right? I would think about it. So it's not practical washing the same t-shirt every day, I guess. You could do it if you wanted to, right? But then again, it's not very financially doesn't make financial sense to buy. No one's going to buy. I mean, maybe you'll have people who are going to buy like 5 shirts, $100+ each, just so they can have a different one every day, so they don't have to wash every day, right? So that would be a downside for me, I guess.
Well, but there are t-shirts like the one I'm using right now that are built of graphene. It might sound so. This, for example, is Graphene X, a startup that the CEO is a Mexican guy that lives in Hong Kong, and it's really cool.
And these are the ones that don't smell, right? Is that the yeah?
Because it's graphene, it doesn't have any bacteria, and you cannot smell, so you can probably use it a few days. I bought a bunch of this just to. This is my travel kit.
Yes, yeah. I had socks like that. They were like crazy expensive, but they wouldn't smell at all. I'm not. Yeah, I can't remember what the company name was, but I don't know if they're still in business. Definitely have to check them out again. Yeah, that could be a solution, right? Get a shirt that's and you're going to use it for running. I mean, if you buy something that's running specific, you're not going to be going to a grocery store or a company event with it if it's not running, I guess.
But we're slowly digressing away, right? So, ever so slowly.
Yeah, we went from fridge magnets to
infused wearables,
t-shirts that don't smell.
This is fun, but I mean, bringing it back ever so slightly, right? Let's say those sensors exist, and let's say everything like we have that data is somewhere, right? Can we bring it into an app? What can we do with it?
Yes, I think that's the problem. That's you can always go into the sensor business if you want to, but something with a low cost of entry, I guess, is I have all this wealth of data. I have an API that others can connect. I mean, I can allow others to bring their data right into my system. What can I do with that data, right? Analyze my workouts would be one thing, right? Like go through my workouts, extract some interesting information based on the sport, I guess.
But to be efficient, you need more things. Because if you focus in your sport, there are factors outside that world that will affect your performance there.
True, yeah.
Traveling and I came back and I'm tired and I do a 2 kilometers and the application says, "Wow, man, you look fat today. You weren't
slow."
It's like, no, guys, I'm really tired.
Yeah. You would have to hook it up with like your sleeping schedules, right? Track the sleep, track the like food that you're eating, which is one of the hardest things one can do. Like there's a lot of apps and everything out there, right? Like MyFitnessPal, whatever, and they have all the food in there anyway. It's just, I don't know, for me, and I used to track my food like for years, every day, like every meal. But then again, I was eating the same thing over and over again. So that was easy, like you enter, it's having chicken again. Okay, well, just click here,
No, but if you could take a picture and it decompose the picture and say, this is the amount of sugar and the amount of protein.
I would pay money for that. You
know that?
Yeah.
Her daughter had diabetes, you call it in English?
Yeah, diabetes. Yeah.
So he'll work on an application that by taking a picture, it will tell you how much sugar that, if it's a tomato, if it's a hamburger, take that to the next level.
That would be, I mean, imagine like yellow curry and just taking a picture of it. And it tells you, this is yellow curry. It has all these. I mean, it doesn't have to be correct 100%. It's never going to be 100% correct. Right?
But at least gives an estimation of the calories you're consuming.
Yeah.
How you burn out. Based on
yes. Yeah.
I think of myself.
Hot dog or not hot dog?
It's
right?
not hot dog, right? That's the best you can do, I think, at this one. Because I think about how I cook specifically like butter chicken, whatever it's called, right? I have not made it the same. I don't think ever. Like I use a little bit more
Yeah.
butter, maybe a little bit
Yeah,
less. Like I look at it and I go, I feel like more butter today.
Yes.
There's no way you can.
it's hard. Yeah, yeah.
Now imagine having the push notification enabled and say, "Are you
So
sure
you
want to?"
what you're saying is we're now at connected
And it
butter,
turns into
right?
your
That's what we. So in the meantime, yeah.
Need a sensor
Although
on your butter.
that said, if you had a
Buttersensor.com.
camera
There you go.
on top
There's
of
an
your
idea.
workbench, right, when you're cooking, and it would kind of say, okay, well now you're putting this much butter in, and so on. That becomes a little bit easier, right, to estimate. But that's a whole different idea.
Now there is a device, I think, that it's scientific. It's not like made up or anything. I just
Is
can't
it a
remember
scale?
what to Google for. But no, not scale. No. They basically, it's for calculating the like a value of number of calories in like a dish or food. But the way they do that is they burn it. Because that's how they calculate what is the amount of like, I don't know, energy, whatever the scientific thing is. But you don't want to have that. You don't want to burn like half of your food just to calculate how. But now we're in the Theranos era or area. What if you had a device where you just take blend up your food and you just take a drop of it? It's going to calculate.
Moving swiftly on from that one.
There you go. There's $1 billion idea right there. It's not one drop of blood. It's one drop of.
If you really want to save the world,
food that
you build me that, but it tells me if it has gluten in it. That I would pay money for that.
Oh, there, yeah.
So I'm a celiac.
Also, there's a good one that it's using the code bars of the products in the supermarket. That I can tell I'm intolerant to lactose, to gluten. And just
there's a whole bunch. Like when I was in the UK, I was a member of their celiac society, of course, and paid money for that app. It was literally, I went to a supermarket, bleep, they said, yep, this is fine, works with other celiacs. Like nobody reported a problem, even if it doesn't say gluten-free on it, right? It's
okay.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff there, but
so let's recap a little bit, because we came with a Smash Fit application with magnets on your fridge. We have all this data. We have an ecosystem with sensor, graphene T-shirts. Now we have code bars and nutrition that can help.
Well, so I do want to say the Smash Fit thing. When he said it, right, my first thought was that sounds like a site that tells you how much you have to smash a cable to fit in a connector. Right?
Could be there. That's a whole nother episode that you can.
There's a bunch of AI there as well. Like fit this LPT port, if anybody still remembers what the hell that was, into a VGA port. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that let's recap. It's going to be better. Magnets, rewards, I guess, tracking food, tracking workouts, collecting all that data, extracting some valuable information out of data, like including sleep, including all that. But there's also one angle that like I haven't mentioned yet, and I don't think we've mentioned it. It's the accountability angle, right? So one of the, like all these apps, sure, they can track everything, right? I put a watch on, is going to track me everything, but will it actually keep me accountable, right? Let's say I want to train for, and training plans. That was another thing. I don't think we mentioned it, but let's say I want to train for a half marathon or a marathon, right? There are training plans. Sure, I can get a training plan. I can create my plan for me.
But does it fit based on your activity and your lifestyle? That's the problem mostly of this kind of...
True, but it's also like... I think a lot of people start training and they don't really realize how much work it is to train. I'm not even talking marathon. Let's do half a marathon, right? Assuming you can run a 5K, right? Half a marathon. That's a lot of running that you have to do, a lot of miles that you have to put in. And like last time I did it was last year, right? And I know what I was getting into, right? Because I know how like hard those trading runs are and everything. But it's basically you're running 5 days a week, right? Every day, even if it's like 2-3 miles, you go work up to a couple of miles, right? And then you do 7 miles on a weekend, 8 miles, 9, 10, and that's
Mhm.
significant time. That's first. You're tired for sure. But it's also if you're not determined to do this, I'm trying to tie it back to the accountability angle, right? You're just going to give up, right? Because, I'm tracking it for myself. Let's say I'm tracking it, right? But what's keeping me there, right?
So,
Who's going to
do you know what the best motivation
Just
is?
need
give me? Yeah,
The
motivation.
best motivating factor I've ever heard about. Like 100%, no website can be better. The advice was take a photo, a naked photo, or multiple naked photos of yourself, zip them, send them to your best friend, the one you would trust with your life, and say, if I don't do this goal in the next year, publish this on all the, like whatever site, right? Accountability
yeah,
110%, right? You will train like a maniac.
true. True.
Um,
Yeah. True. That could be. I don't know how that would work if you imagine a website, you
yeah,
go in and
take
say, all
a
right,
naked
first thing that
photo.
you have to do is
Yeah.
take naked photos and send it to us here, and we'll keep it
No,
for you, and
absolutely
then we're
not.
gonna
But
publish it.
I did want to say, so the accountability thing is awesome, right? It's also the second part of it is like, so I am training, as I've said, for that marathon. I would love to say, hey, this is the goal I'm working towards, and because there's other like I'm doing it for a charity thing, so obviously there's going to be the campaign and everything that happens around it. But I do want to say I would love people to follow this journey. Maybe I'll succeed. I'll do my best to succeed for sure, right? But I do want to give people the ability to follow this journey. Um, am I on track? Am I on like, what is the? Am I starting to get the
Yeah.
right times? Am I starting to get the right pace? Am I eating healthy? Is my weight going down? Like any one of those, and I may choose to publish some of that. Think right, my space for your my space for my body. Um, I'm really into old references. I want like LPT cable, VGA, MySpace. Just like wow. No, but you get the point. Right?
You're disclosing how
I can
old you
see
are.
that. It's quite
Yeah.
horrible.
Indirectly.
But yeah, so the point still stands, right? And that's you're kind of setting, hey, this is the goal. I'm publishing it. I'm announcing it publicly. That's kind of one way to be accountable, right? Without the naked photos.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's be accountable in terms of you're publishing it, and then you're hoping people will call you out. Maybe call you out if they don't see you publish a workout the day after. Versus, like when I had a trainer and everything, I would work out with him every other day, right? And he would always ask, "So, what did you do yesterday?" And it was like a 3 minute thing. What did you do yesterday? Oh, I ran for 30 minutes, whatever it was. Did you drink X amount of water? That was the second question. Third was, how was your sleep? How many
Mm.
hours of sleep did you get? And then how many steps did you get in? Right?
But you should be
That was
able
it. Right?
to do it by talking to the device rather than putting the input. I think it makes it more easy to fulfill that information, and it doesn't take time.
True.
It's like, oh, did you take a glass of water? Oh, yeah, I took three. That's it.
So
Boom, boom.
True.
the
True. Oh,
connected
that's the
water bottle
connected
I'm
one.
holding up. I
Do you
have
have all the
all the
sensors on the
sensors. So
market?
this
Yeah.
comes with like it tells me how much I drank. It doesn't go into Apple Health, by the way, which is super annoying and why I stopped using it. But the
Mm.
points, which kind of is the whole point of it, right? But yeah,
And there's a thing we haven't come into the conversation, that is how I use my information privately without making the company behind the
yeah.
scenes train the data with my information.
Mm.
So that's a
Yeah.
whole episode on regulations.
Mm,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, whatever we're discussing here, this is what we can do on our own. We're not gathering anyone else's data, right? But if anyone wants to go and do this, it's definitely there's a lot of private information, I guess, right? That one would have to, or health information, even, right?
Yeah.
Every
One would
country has some
Oh yeah, there's a
different, yeah,
it brings me down just thinking about it.
yeah.
But can we explore the accountability?
The only
Aspect a bit more?
Yeah, so the one thing that I wanted to say with accountability, G, you mentioned the like, oh, you just have an app and pops and you say how many watt did you do this? Yes, I did. Did you do that? Yes, I did. The thing is, I don't know if that would, speaking personally, I don't think that would work for me because I have MyFitnessPal, I have like 3 other apps, and it's like, oh, did you log your breakfast? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I ate.
Dismiss. I think there's a human factor to it, right? When you're actually in person there and someone is asking you these questions, and you're not gonna make things up. I've never did that. I would never make up stuff of like entering.
But then
things,
let's
right?
get the human aspect into it, right?
So that's what I was saying. Yeah. So there's a
humans. Can we create a
and you went like
I'm just if I go with that, right? If we're saying app doesn't work for me, I wanted more like a human like. First thing, someone calls me every morning and says, "What did you do yesterday?" And that someone could be a human person, trainer, whatever,
sure,
or it could be AI. Right? Yeah. It could be at least it's a voice. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a voice. It's not just an app.
But Peter,
even though that voice
someone
is
calls
like
you in the morning,
robot,
that's
right?
how you get murderers, right? I mean,
I blame them. Yeah.
No, but people are paying for this. I'm not kidding, guys. People are paying for this to have like accountability coaches outside of the health stuff, right?
Not just
part in general.
Could we? So right? Again, kind of leaning into my experience, I don't have a trainer. I know you did, right? But what I would genuinely like pay lots of money for right now is to have someone in my ear as I'm skating, going, "Hey, your pace is great. Like go a little bit faster. You're breathing wrong. Your heart rate's a little bit too high. Slow down." And then also because they know where I'm skating, they'll be like, "Listen, there's a big hill coming up. Pace yourself right now, and then save the energy," or something like that.
Okay. Then we get into augmented.
That would be
glasses. So now you put your glasses and you have the meta-human talking to you while you're running and saying, "Come on, keep doing. You're great."
Yeah,
I love the meta-human thing.
Yeah, and it's doing inference in real time, because one of the problems we see is that inference is done during the night. So the next day you have the results. So now it comes on edge computing and other things, which I think is turning this conversation much more fun by just adding things there. But yeah, you could have it.
I'd be happy with an actual human, right? Someone who says, "Hey," like I would go onto a site. I would say, "I'm doing a roller skating thing. I need help with my trainer." I'll connect all my data, and basically the trainer would say, "Listen, there's a guy would love to connect, but he's in Italy, for example, right?" So he would log on there. We would say, "All right, let's do a training." At that point, he would get to see like a Minority Report style view of all of my sensors, as much real time as possible, everything that's connected, whatever, right? But I'm happy with that person starting off being a human, right? It's
andiamo.
Yes, yeah, just go.
So there's 2 things. When you said, "Oh, when I'm skating, I want to hear it in my ear." So I had a device. I was trying to Google the name, but I forgot. It was the running thing that you put on your waist, right? And it basically tells you your cadence, right, and all that. That one was connected to my phone, and when I was running with my earphones in, it would actually tell you your every, I don't know, you can configure it, right? But every 5 minutes, it would tell you your cadence is whatever 177, which is good, right? Or it would tell you like you slow down, or basically whatever you mentioned, right? It would give you cues if, oh, you're leaning too much to the left, or stuff like that, right? So it's not necessarily a person, right? It can like get that data and tell you in a robotic voice what to do or what's wrong.
That's the problem. I wouldn't like to have a robotic voice. I would like to have the option to configure based on my type of humor. I like that.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense. You don't want, like, I don't like people yelling at me.
There's an app that I used called Seven. It's basically like in the morning, do a 7 minute workout. It really helped. Like I lost 30 kilos altogether. It was a couple of years back. Yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, the point is to go through it, you can configure the intensity of the coach and its kind of character. So you can say, I want a drill
Uh-huh.
sergeant, and they will literally go like, drop on the floor as you're doing the push up. Or you can go like,
Scream.
no, I
Yeah.
need a gentle push. It's like, that's fine. You got this, even if you just go 1 centimeter.
Yeah.
So,
Don't sweat too much. Just do it. That's it.
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah, but all of these things are like these things are then like you can set it. It's just a matter of right. I guess once you have all the data, it's easier
yeah.
to
But the site
implement
you
that,
linked,
right?
that's awesome. I mean,
The
that
other
is great. Trainingpeaks.com.
the Training Peaks. Yeah, so trainingpeaks.com, that's like a proper that's what professionals use,
I used to
right?
use Training Peaks, and I remember it's quite what we were talking today. I got a coach, and I said I want to do this bike
Mm-hmm.
racing,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy was in Seville. I was based in Madrid. I was like, you
Um,
pay an amount of money per month,
Yeah.
and he gives just not the training of analyzing your exercise. It gives you exercise to on the gym. I need you to do
Mm-hmm.
this, that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it gives
yeah.
the progress. But you need
Yeah,
more
so
information. That's very
yes,
limited view. Huh?
yeah, but it tells you, I mean, you can buy a training plan with a coach or you can have them suggest, but the value here is that the coach is actually looking at your data and then it's augmenting your workouts, right?
yeah, because
uh, going
the Training
forward.
Peak says you do the workout and then you upload the data and then they analyze it, right? Yeah. See, if you can make this
Yes.
Yeah,
real time
yeah, yeah.
ish, much more real time, right? I think that's where things get fun because if I'm skating the 40 whatever kilometers, it's a 3 hour, well, two and a bit if I want to do it right. But as you're training, it's a 3 4 hour thing every single week, basically, right? If I just go and then I have to wait, it's
Not only
boring.
that. No, no.
Well, but it's
Imagine you finish your workout, and as you finish, it comes and take. Oh, eat this amount of chocolate, drink a
No,
lemonade, do
yeah,
this,
yeah,
do
yeah,
this,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
that's
already
great,
did the
but I
analysis
mean,
of.
like the chocolate I've done, right? The thing that I would hate is you finish it like I did the last time. I did 35 kilometer skate, right? And if I finish and then it tells me in the sector two you went a little bit slow. I'm like, well, you could have told me that in the sector two, right? So I could have picked up the pace. Those are the things that I would care about. Like get as immediate feedback as possible, right?
Yeah. But by the way, Garmin already has that. At least for running, you can set it up so it alerts you if you
For
go
running pace, it does,
below a certain
but it does
pace,
well.
right?
But does it know there's a hill? I guess it does, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't
Well,
necessarily. Why would it matter if
well,
it's a hill
I
or
don't know
not,
about you, but like
right? I mean, it could adapt, right? Okay, I get what you're saying. Like you could say, oh, if I set my pace to this, it should be within a tolerance if I'm going up the hill, right? It
I
shouldn't
mean, I'm
require
saying
me to run
if I
as
have a
fast.
trainer, right, a person, the person can sort of say, "All right, listen, we've got a 30-minute session today. This is where we are in the plan. It's okay if your pace kind of goes up and down. Like they will know, whereas an
Mhm.
app won't know, right? It's a threshold that you set, give like plus or minus some tolerance. I'm going back to that. I want someone on the
Yeah.
other side who's seeing the data, interpreting with like along with a plan. So they know, all right, if you want to make it to the marathon in September, like this is the pace you have to be at, but it's fine if you deviate when you're going up a freaking hill, right? Um,
But how you scale that? Do you have 1,000 coaches in little cubes
Yeah.
in a building? Just hey, you need to
it's
do this
It's like a
exercise.
call center, but for coaches. And I don't know. I mean, I personally, I don't know if like I've never skated, so I roller skated, so I don't know if that's any different. But if I'm running, I would look at my watch and make sure that I'm on pace, right?
Yeah.
Like what I'm trying to say, even when I did like a marathon and stuff, I didn't need anyone to tell me,
Yeah.
go faster, right? Or go slower, because it was mostly because I was going as fast as I could, right? But then also conserving energy so you can run the whole thing, not burn out after 6 miles, right? But I'm trying to say is I had that, like, by
Yeah.
the time you get there, you trained so much already that you know that you're gonna sustain. I'll
Yeah.
be able to sustain this pace. If I run faster here, I'm not.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
you have
gonna
to get
work.
there.
It's just a matter of like,
Let's put it a bit more complex. And I go to inline skating,
Yeah.
these races that are in loops, because it's not just about that you do 5 kilometers there. It's that every round it gets eliminated, the last one that goes into the group. So now it's like I don't only need to know what pace I need to go. I can download and increase, and it's a variable with don't get
yeah,
Yeah.
eliminated.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
very
but that's
complex.
yeah, but that's a I think it's a two different problems, right? Because for those races are typically shorter. They're not
But
4 hour marathons or
let's
two
not
hour
just focus on the
marathons,
race,
Five
right? It's
kilometers
not just
inline
about that. Like
skates.
even I maybe focus too much on that. It's not just the actual skating. It's also the strength exercises that you do on top, or like the conditioning exercises that you do. Like I don't know if I'm doing things
Sure.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a fitness buff, right? So when I use Apple Fitness Plus, so I follow those exercises. So I kind of do the best I think I'm doing with what like strength training or whatever. If there is a coach
Hmm.
and they can look at it, and you kind of go, hey, I'll do a video call, and they look at it, it's a basic thing. If you're in the gym and you're doing like a hinge with a curl or something, right? They'll know, hey, your back's curved, right? It's a very minor detail, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, yeah, yeah,
AI, I still keep saying the same. I think
yeah.
that
That could
many of
that
those
that could be.
things
Yeah,
yeah.
could be analyzed. The problem is that you have like the angel and the devil. Oh, go fast. No, no, go slower. You need to go still 30 kilometers far away. No, no, hit, you can do it.
So you have two
How you
coaches,
train
true.
one
in
in
the
each
system
cubicle in
and
the call
both
center.
cheated and fighting
Yeah,
each
but
other.
that's true. Sometimes, like, yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh, I know I don't have to go faster, right? I can finish. I can go like a
Yeah,
nice pace like this, and I'll be able to. I guess it all depends what your goals are as
but
well, right?
Mhm.
Are you trying to, like, are you competing,
yeah.
or are you just trying to
Okay,
finish?
but we have a website, so we have a thing, potentially a service, right? What can we do with it
Subscription model.
for an AI meta human?
And I can
AI
sell you the
better.
classes. So if you have the whole package, it will be much cheaper than just going with the subscription model of 30 days. I would have a coaching system with all my information, but with nutrition, you need to add value to that information.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think building the
yeah,
ecosystem would be the right thing to. There's people that pays to the nutrition coach, to the personal coach. They go to the gym and they pay also.
Yeah,
If you start
trainer. Yeah,
adding all the amount of money, you can get a very cheap subscription done with AI. That probably is not 100% what you're looking for, but maybe
I
covers
see. I wouldn't.
95%.
This is one of
yeah,
my things. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't go AI on this. Not right now. I would much rather see an ability like a marketplace, right? Because you said, how do you scale this? Well, you ask, like,
Mhm.
there are people who are good at this, at coaching, right? They're not all 100% utilized. Just like coaches had to adapt during COVID, same thing, right? But if you say, hey, just like the Training Peaks thing seems to work, right? There are coaches who sign up and are able to provide a service, and you can pick one that you trust. But if they can help generate those things, right? You could realistically sign up for a cycling coach, a rolling coach, a nutrition coach, like all those things, and then get your programs, and they all cooperate, collaborate, whatever works better. But I wouldn't. I'm hesitant with saying AI, just because when it comes to body
Mhm.
and all those things, it's scary.
Well, if you speak to
Yeah,
sport doctors, they will say that, oh, I can control your cholesterol by just adding more or less atorvastatina, for example, which is what they do. 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, I'm okay. It fits in the levels. But if it hurts something on
Hmm.
you, I need to touch you. And that's what they will always say. That AI can do part of the job, but I need to see you, touch you, and I say, okay, you don't have this broken. It's because of this and that. Huh? How you capture that experience and put it into an application is
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
completely
seeing
different of.
part is
And if
easy.
you go down the
Yeah.
path of having coaches,
Yeah.
how you scale. So the other problem is like if I go human, I don't scale.
Yeah.
Or
But I think there's
I'm not so accurate.
yeah, but there are things that you'll always have to be there always have to be human involved, right? I think we can agree that there will be parts of
Mm.
anything, right, where, as you said, they would have to touch you,
Yeah.
to examine you if you wish, right? But there are portions that I don't know if you guys know so Amazon did had a like a Fitbit like device, and I think they discontinued it, right? But they had a device, and one awesome thing that, of course, I bought it, right? And then one awesome thing that that device had is you would take a picture of yourself, 3D, right? So you would prop your phone, and it would tell you, okay, turn left, turn right,
Undress.
raise your arms, all this. Yeah, I mean, you had to be right, but not naked. I mean, whatever floats your boat, I don't care, right? But you don't have to be naked, right? Uh, uh, Underwear, right? But anyway, my point is they would take the photo and they would do like a 3D model of you, and then you could like move the slide. Literally, they would detect, oh, this person has 30% body fat, right? They use magic AI behind the scenes to figure it out from the photo. They create a 3D model, and then they had a slider that would, oh, let me put myself down to like 7% body fat, and how would that look like on my body, right? And I'm trying to remember, I think they tracked like steps and things like that, but I wasn't too impressed with any other feature other than that one, right? Which was really good. Uh,
I would say that what impressed me was a shape of a body where they cut your stomach and they show what's inside. It's like those 10 additional kilos that you have. When you visually see
Talk
it,
about
yeah,
accountability, right?
yeah,
but
yeah,
they do it in the
Or
movie.
motivation, rather. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that hits hard.
That Halo band. That's what it was called. Halo band.
Mm.
Amazon Halo band. I mean, it was like, I don't know if you guys had a DEXA scan done. So DEXA is it's a big device. It looks like an MRI, right? You lay on it and they like weight you and actually measure, like they measure it's very accurate in terms of how much body fat you have, how much muscle you have, the composition of your body, pretty much, right? And this Halo was very, I'm not saying it's the same, but it gave you similar information, right? For $100 device, and you can do it every day, right? Versus DEXA scan is uh, like $100 every time you go in, if you go in to do that, right? Um, so that was an interesting device, interesting thing, right? To see here's where I am right now, and then here's how I would look like if I would go down to in percentage of body fat, right? And that was all done by AI, right?
So,
Uh,
Because
so
that's easy. Having the shape and the metrics,
yes,
you can apply
all right,
that.
throwing a wrench in the whole
yes,
thing, right?
yeah.
A spanner, sorry. Um, what if we flip this around? Because we're focused on sports, all the good things, right? But then I've been saying throughout the whole episode, I'm old, right? So what's the domain name again? Own your body.
Sma-
Smash fit.
your- it's either SmashFit. We started with SmashFit and
So
yourownbody.com.
yourownbody.com. What if it's just like you wake up in the morning and you tell it this is what hurts today, and basically you track the things that hurt, and based on that we can tell you what your age is, right? Because the older you get, like I woke up today with a really bad back pain, right? And in this particular area, and I feel like it's sort of, I'm saying it as a half joke, right? But being able, everything focuses so much on sport, get better, do this, work out all the time, Like my Apple Watch it's the worst thing in the world because I want to close the rings, but even though I know I shouldn't, I should have rest days, right? Anyway, so why not flip it around? This is what hurts. Today, this is where it hurts.
Well, but that's just another input to the whole system,
Yeah,
right? Like you could do
but
whatever
it's
you're
one I
already
haven't seen
doing
before, is what
anyway.
I'm saying.
And if you're
Right?
saying, hey,
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
randomly all the factors that can. I woke up, I
yeah,
stand up in the bed, I cannot walk. What happened? You were on travel yesterday night. You have a sexy night with your
Bam.
girlfriend, and something hurt there. Yeah, so I guess you're getting maybe some information you wouldn't want to hear.
Well, I mean, right, but it does connect to a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's. I had a really, I think I pulled a muscle on my back. Um, this was maybe, I don't even know. It must have been last season, so probably last September, October, something like that. I could not walk. There was no way for me to get up from my bed, go to the toilet myself. No freaking way. Couldn't do it. Either the only way I could do it is if I was on like the worst painkillers that the doctor could prescribe. And the doctor was like, "Listen, I'll give you two of these. Like take them if it's really necessary and keep them out of reach of children." But my point is, right? I did do exercise
so
before that, a couple days before, and it would actually be useful if on top of this all health data I could say, hey, this is where it's hurting, or I'm feeling down. Like, so the watch, you can never say I'm ill, I have a fever, things like that, right? That's not tracked, but it does affect your performance. It affects your VO2 level, it affects your heart rate,
yeah,
everything. And but it's never taken into account.
doesn't doesn't
No,
doesn't Apple
no.
track that? I thought
Like the
they
basic
no,
thing,
they
if
don't.
you have a
Yeah,
cold,
we will.
right, you say you want to be able to
Yeah.
say somewhere, I have a cold, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm trying to see like if I know Garmin tracks,
Yeah, you
like you can
can.
track
I mean,
sleep,
you
or
can
they
see the
track sleep,
factors
right? They track
like the
sleep,
heart rate. So
stress,
there's
whatever.
heart rate variability. Fitbit will track your skin temperature changes, although that's more applicable for like menstrual cycle for women. But the point is, right, you can never say I ate something and I threw up, I don't want to do a workout, or I don't feel like a workout. And then also, if you have a training
Mm,
plan, right, you will change that. I mean, if you just threw up 2 days ago, you're not going to go all out.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if I imagine, like I imagine an all tracking system for everything, where assuming you have a
Yeah.
training plan, let's just assume, right? And then it's you're supposed to run n miles tomorrow or whatever, and then you throw in, hey, I slept only 5 hours,
Yeah.
and I ate something bad, and I have a stomach bug, and then that would
Yeah.
automatically
So
adjust your
maybe that's the
workouts,
thing. Maybe this is where AI comes in handy,
right?
right? Because he's saying, hey, I have a training plan. Like I bought it on Training Peaks
Yeah.
or wherever, right? Here's my training plan. But here's the reality of the world. I'm not feeling well. I've
Mm.
been, whatever, right? Yeah, I had a sexy night. So great. I've not had any sleep.
Yeah.
Adjust. Yeah.
Adjusted
Yeah.
based on whatever happened. Yeah.
You want the solution to all this. Just put
Med-
a scanner in the entry door as the size of your door, everything connected to the domotic of your house. So now you can measure what you eat when you come in from doing sports, when
yeah.
you get in
Well,
the
no,
Yeah.
I don't want everything,
Yeah, I
right? But
think
this, I mean, like I say, I'm looking at it from trying to come from a.
yes, you want, but you don't
No,
know
no.
yet.
Let me rephrase.
you
I
want it, but you don't
explicitly
know
do
it
not
yet.
want everything tracked, right? Um, but genuinely, as like, first of all, as someone who wants to close all rings and stuff like that, and someone who will have a training plan very shortly, being able to modify it ad hoc based on real world things, that would
Yeah.
be incredibly valuable to me.
Live. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Oh, we're getting like it's been more than an hour already, so I think we can wrap it up. So definitely a lot of I see a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities right? And definitely in this space, there's a lot of opportunities. You can go diet and food. You can do training plans. You can do tracking. You can do like AI everywhere, of course, right? Makes sense. Why not use it, right? Accountability, rewards. I feel everything ties into the same thing in the end, right? I like the last thing that you mentioned, right? The adaptability of the plans based on your, how you're actually feeling, right? The only downside, and these are my last words for this this episode now, is that I don't want to track these things manually. I don't want to have a sensor, like G said. I don't want a sensor that I walk through and it just magically captures everything. But I don't.
A sensor.
The sensor
scanner.
goes in the toilet, by the way. If you really want to track your health and your fitness, the sensor goes to the toilet.
True. I mean, if that's all it takes, do it. I don't care, right? But my point is, I don't want to be tracking these things manually, right? If you can do it automatically for me, by either wearing a watch, a scanner, like toilet scanner, whatever
like you just
it is,
threw up.
Right? As long as it's not
would you like to record it?
10,000 sensors in me, right?
But I like the toilet thing.
It is
because it's true. Once you pee or you do poo,
but I mean that's a whole new ball. So that's probably multiple episodes away. But
yes. All right, closing thoughts. I said mine. You guys go ahead.
Guillermo, you should go.
Anze. Yeah, well, I see a huge opportunity, but as far as you are able to build the ecosystem, which just doesn't include only sports, it needs to be nutrition, it needs to be health, feelings, as Anze was talking before. More factors, more accurate you can be on building plans and building a whole lifestyle to really be healthy.
Yeah, I kind of want us to revisit this one, right? We have a whole bunch of ideas, right? We have a whole bunch of thoughts. It would be great if we revisit it. But what started off as a joke in my mind, like, oh, it hurts, right? I do actually really, really, the more I think about it, the more I like the potential, because you can track milestones of your body, right? Whether those are exercises, marathons, training plans, or things that hurt. And then, that translates into adaptability of your training plans. And I think it's a huge opportunity. So what do you say? Let's wrap it up for today, but let's revisit this. Right?
Yeah. By the way, I have wrap it up, but I have a name for that already. I didn't buy the domain name, but it's called owithhurts.com.
It goes well with the domain I just bought, which is remindmetocomplain.com.
There you go. All right, guys. That's it. We'll talk next time. Bye.